Welcome back to another powerful Morpheus crypto video. In our last video, we showed you how both Bitcoin and Ethereum were correcting by time through a tight sideways consolidation near their recent highs. We said that the 10-day moving average, this green line you see here, was rising up and could soon provide support that would enable a breakout from this tight consolidation to new swing highs. Now, the 10-day moving average has run into support of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it looks like we may be headed for higher prices. So stick around, let's dive in, take a look at the charts of Bitcoin and Ethereum, as well as any hot altcoins on our radar for potential buy entry. After enjoying a massive breakout on June 20th and 21st, Bitcoin entered into a correction by time, which is also known as a consolidation. And for the past 9 days, Bitcoin has been trading in a tight sideways range. Now, this is bullish because often when we see a strong rally, we get a pullback right after. But when the price does not pull back and merely trades sideways, that's a bullish sign that indicates the sellers are not stepping in and merely the buyers are taking a rest. And when we see this type of pattern, often the 10-day moving average, the first touch of the 10-day moving average, enables prices to move higher. And you can see so far today, we're off to a great start. Yesterday, Bitcoin came into support of its 10-day moving average, which is pushing the prices higher today. And now we are testing the upper channel resistance of this 9-day trading range. So we could be looking at an imminent breakout for Bitcoin, perhaps over the weekend, based on this support of the 10-day moving average coming out of this tight consolidation pattern. Yesterday in the Morpheus crypto chat room, we showed this chart to our members and we talked about how the 50 MA on the 4-hour chart often is a reliable indicator of support and resistance. And in this particular chart, what we're looking at is on Bitcoin. We noticed before we had the recent breakout on June 20th, Bitcoin was drifting lower, and this red line, which is the 50 MA on the 4-hour chart, notice how perfectly it acted as resistance for basically most of the month, the first half of the month of June. Every time Bitcoin tried to rally, this 50 MA stopped the rally attempt once, twice, at least three times in the first couple weeks of June. Now, in the white box here, you can see in mid-June when the price of Bitcoin broke out above that 50 MA and held above it, and that sparked a new short-term uptrend. So we went from a downtrend to an uptrend with that breakout above the 50 MA on the 4-hour chart. Now, the oldest and most basic tenet of technical analysis says that a prior level of resistance becomes the new support after the resistance is broken. And that's what happened here. So once we broke through this 50 MA, that prior resistance level should now act as support. And that's what we saw yesterday. So after the price of Bitcoin rallied and traded sideways for 8 days, yesterday that rising 50 MA on the 4-hour came into contact with the price of Bitcoin. We had a small undercut dip below that, but the price snapped back above it, and that is held, and that's what's propelling Bitcoin higher now. So just a little side tip there to use the 50 MA on the 4-hour chart. For our style and our time frame of swing trading, this is a great indicator that we use to look for significant short-term trend reversals. Next, let's take a look at the daily chart of Ethereum, which is a reliable proxy for the overall health of the altcoin market. And we see that Ethereum's daily chart has a similar pattern to Bitcoin in that after the June 21st breakout, the price action traded in a tight sideways range, correcting by time for 9 days. Now, we did have a little more relative weakness with Ethereum a few days ago when the price dipped down below this consolidation and undercut the 10-day moving average. We mentioned in the chat room that day that a brief undercut below a key level of support, such as the 10-day moving average, can be bullish if the price action snaps back above that level and within the next 1 to 2 days. And that's exactly what happened. We had a 1-day undercut. Next day, we probed above it. And now today, we're back firmly above that moving average. Notice here this red line, that's the 50-day moving average. That firmly acted as support. After undercutting the 10-day moving average, buyers clearly stepped in and defended that 1822 area, which was support of the 50-day moving average. Now, as for the Ethereum outlook, we do see that Ethereum has more resistance than Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin right now is testing its highs of 2023. We see that Ethereum still has some work to go to overcome resistance of its highs of the year. In fact, back in April, Ethereum had rallied all the way up to the 2100 level. So we do have a bit more overhead supply and resistance to contend with. But nevertheless, we do see that there's a pivotal horizontal resistance level here right around the 1915 level. If we can get above the high of this consolidation, then we'll also break out above this prior high from late May and early June, and momentum could pick up to quickly carry the price action up to the 2000 level. And beyond that, we'll obviously take a look at the price action and volume. So even though Ethereum does have a bit of laggard price action, a bit of relative weakness to Bitcoin on the daily time frame, it does look pretty good over the past couple of days. And in fact, we are seeing more and more momentum in the altcoin market, which is what I want to take a look at now. Now, what's really caught our attention here over the past week has been the massive breakout action in the large cap DeFi sector. DeFi is decentralized finance, and this was one of the top sectors in the bull market of early 2021. This sector was massive, but it's been pretty much in a steady downtrend since then, in part due to regulatory questions. But we can see the massive volume coming into the sector. On the top left here, we've got Ethereum just as a comparison. And this is, by the way, a quick and easy way that you can set up your charts to find relative strength. You can set up Ethereum or Bitcoin as one of the charts. And then looking at individual altcoins, you can see if the altcoin has relative strength or relative weakness to Ethereum. For example, notice that Ethereum has been moving sideways for the past 9 days, but check out COMP, C-O-M-P, and more importantly, the volume. COMP is going from $30 to basically touch $60 today. It's doubled in just 6 days, right? And the volume is the reason for that. Whenever we see massive volume, you need to be aware because volume is the gasoline that powers breakouts. And that's one of the most important factors behind a breakout following through is massive volume. And you can see here, volume definitely spiked in a big way. Basically went about 1,000% volume spike. And that powered the comp above the 50-day moving average. Now, you may recall after this breakout above the 50-day moving average, we actually bought this pullback right around 36.5, and we sold it for a quick pop the very next day for a 30% gain just on a one-day hold. Now, of course, we can hold longer, but as we hold longer in high volatility plays, there's also more risk too. So we were looking to take the quick profit until the price action established itself a little more. So we locked in a 30% gain. However, now that we're seeing follow through and more volume, comp does become one of our top setups on our radar for potential pullback entry, but potentially for a bull flag or a consolidation pattern. AAVE is another competitor of COMP and a large cap OG DeFi play. And AAVE also had a big breakout the same day comp did, but then notice how AAVE basically trended sideways to lower until today. Comp is definitely the leader. Comp has been showing the most strength and marching to new swing highs almost every day. But AAVE definitely is also getting volume and waking up as well. And now today we are seeing another large cap DeFi play, MKR. Now today is waking up with big volume and a move above a multi-week high on one day. In fact, MKR is up 17% so far today and is the top leader. So there's definitely a lot of action going on in the large cap DeFi sector, and comp, AAVE, and MKR should all be on your relative strength radar for potential buy entry on a pullback, with comp being the best in terms of relative strength right now. In our last video, we mentioned STX as a potential pullback setup, and we see that when Bitcoin broke out, STX was one of the leaders with that Bitcoin breakout. Had a massive run from 60 cents to almost 90 cents, almost a 50% gain in 2 days on big volume. Since then, the price action has been pulling back, and we've undercut the 10-day MA. However, we can see that a move back above this 10-day MA would be a rally above the 3-day high that could set the bullish momentum in motion again. So look for a move above the 73-cent level for a potential resumption of this breakout and potentially a move to new swing highs in STX. Of course, you want to keep your stop in place, and we do have a stop just below the low of this range in case the pullback does stall. Another setup we mentioned in our last video is ANT. ANT was also a recent relative strength leader broke out above a multi-month base on big volume, actually ahead of Bitcoin, and since then has been on a pullback. It did undercut its 10-day moving average, but notice how the price action a couple of days ago came into support of this horizontal line. And this horizontal line was resistance of the prior base of consolidation, and now that prior resistance has acting as support. So you can see that the price actions come down, came into support of that horizontal line, and now it's bouncing. So we're looking for a move, just like a very similar setup to STX, a move back above this 10-day MA, above the $4.14 area, could result in a resumption of bullish momentum in ANT. SFP is another altcoin that could be a pretty hot swing trade setup. Notice that SFP had huge, massive volume spike basically 2 weeks ago, right ahead of the Bitcoin breakout. And since then, it's been in a tight sideways consolidation pattern on light volume. That's actually bullish. It's what you want to see, is higher volume during the breakout and then declining volume during the consolidation. And now we see the price of SFP is actually testing its 10-day moving average. And if we get above the high of this range, we could see a resumption of the momentum in SFP. But as always, watch the volume for a clue as to whether or not there was likely to be any follow through. Remember, volume is the gasoline that drives the rallies, and volume is one of the few indicators that never lies. Currently, the top relative strength cryptos in the market are basically Bitcoin and Ethereum. Of course, I want to keep an eye on those large cap DeFi plays, COMP, AAVE, MKR in particular, as well as potential pullback entries in STX, ANT, and SFP. So as always, we will keep our Morpheus crypto members updated in the chat room. If you're not yet a member, head on over to morpheustrading.com, click on Crypto Picks, and join the Morpheus tribe.